Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a build guide for the Cartographer subclass for the Artificer in Baldur's Gate 3. This is part of the D&D Player's Handbook 2024 all-in-one Beyond mod by Yoonmoonsik. And the Cartographer subclass in particular focuses on Fairy Fire and mobility, so you get things like Misty Step, some extra spells like Mind Spike. You fill an interesting role in a team. It's kind of like a support damage style class, and I'll be going through all the choices and specs for this build. We also do come with, it does come with some new cantrips here. Things like Sword Burst being really nice, doing a force damage in a area around us. It does have a dex save, that's something to keep in mind. There's also other fun spells like Thunderclap. You do get access to the Thorn Whip, and there's new Spare the Dying, which lets you bring up an ally that went down, and also things like Green Flame Blade and Lightning Lure. I'm going to add those two spells there. Now for ability scores, this is an intelligence-based class, and we do want to go with a stat spread of something like this. I do prefer a little bit higher. Constitution works well too. Now, Constitution and overall health in this game does work differently with this mod, so that's something to keep in mind. You might want to go with a higher Constitution. Depends on what type of setup you like to go with. Dexterity is kind of nerfed in this, but you still couldn't go with the Dex for the armor class boost. Once we get to level 2, we do get the Replicate Magical Item. Now, this works a little differently than the other Artificer class mods out there. You have the Plans of Warfare. This lets you create weapons of war here, or at later levels, you get the legendary Flame Tongue weapon. We also have the Plans of Safeguard, which lets you create armor. The Plans of Mobility, which lets you increase your movement speed, jump distance, prevent falling damage, and get a Ring of Free Action. And the Plans of Innovation here, which gives us things like the Spell Refueling Ring, Lantern of Revealing to get us the ability to see invisible creatures, and the Goggles of Night, letting you see at dark. I like the Plans of Warfare and the Plans of Safeguard, getting both weapons and armor. It's kind of a no-brainer there. Good choices, although you can go with the others if you prefer. Now, with this, we're going to be grabbing, this is a new spell included in this mod, the Tasha's Caustic Brew. We'll grab that, and Fairy Fire is actually going to be included at our next level, so you don't have to select that. We can go with things like Longstrider, Sanctuary. This is useful for protecting teammates. Even things like False Life can be nice, get 2d4 plus 4 temporary health points. I like Grease and even Cure Wounds. Cure Wounds got a massive buff and now does a 2d8 of healing. So it's a little bit better in Baldur's Gate 3 now. And it's also an Abjuration spell. Once we get to level 3, this lets us take our subclass. Now, I have builds on the other ones, not including the 2024 Player Handbook all-in-one mod, but with the other mods that are out there. Let me know in the comments if you would like to see the other subclasses here, because they do function a bit differently than the other two mods that I have covered in the past. Done a lot of different Artificer content, so just let me know what you'd like to see. I also have some good news. There is another Artificer mod in the works. It's going to be extremely deep, but we'll focus on this one for this video. Now, the Cartographer here, it does lay out all the different abilities you get at levels like 5 and 9, but here we get Fairy Fire, which gives us advantage against attack, and Portal Jump. On your turn, you can expend movement speed and half your speed to teleport to an ally within 9 meters of you. This can give you a 9-meter jump for only 5 meters movement speed, which is quite nice. We also get Guiding Bolt and the Healing Word spell. This also got a buff. It's now a 2d4 of healing, so it's a little bit more healing. We also get a bonus to our equal to our proficiency bonus and Can't Be Surprised. This is the alert feat, basically, so a nice boost for our initiative, although initiative's a d20 now. Major change. We also don't expend a spell slot when casting Fairy Fire, and we got that Portal Jump there. I'll focus on the other abilities as we get higher up in our level here, and I guess you could leave Enhanced Sleep. It's a fun spell. Now, once we get to level 4 here, we get our first feat. We also just keep our spells as such. Alert is not even that good on this build, and not even that good in this setup at all. Warcaster can be a fun one, giving advantage to hold concentration, and you can use a reaction to cast a single target cantrip at a target moving out of melee range. Not just Shocking Grasp now, which is kind of cool, but I think the best choice here is to go with an intelligence increase here for their better spell casting. You could go with a dex increase too. Mage Slayer is also kind of interesting in how it works. You could boost up your dexterity score, and whenever you damage a creature is concentrating, it has disadvantage on the saving throw. It has to maintain concentration, and if we fail an intelligence, wisdom, or charisma saving throw, we can cause ourselves to succeed once per long rest. This is actually a really good feature now. Another choice, again, is you can go with a stat increase. I'm going to go with the intelligence-based increase, but you could go with the dex or a constitution increase as well. Level 5, however, this is when we get the Guided Precision. Guided Precision. When you hit a creature affected by Fairy Fire with an attack roll, you can add your intelligence modifier to the damage roll of the spell or attack. In addition, Fairy Fire no longer requires our concentration. So this brings it up to the bow, the Hellfire Longbow, which actually is a bow that just hits and applies Fairy Fire. Kind of nice. We also get Mind Spike, which lets you do a 3d8 of psychic damage. Psychic damage is also nerfed in this mod. And Misty Step, which is always nice to have. We do get access to level 2 spells at this level here, with things like the Spray of Cards, which can blind targets and do force damage, Also get Dragon's Breath, which is a fun spell. Magic Weapon here is bonus action. It's kind of cool. It's a little bit of a change. Arcane Vigor is also good to give ourselves a heal if we need it as a bonus action. That can be good if we just like need a burst heal, as we might go down. Now, once we get to level 6, we can take another replicate magical item. Ring of Free Action is nice, so we can go with the Plans of Mobility. You do get that item, although in the normal base game of Baldur's Gate 3, so just a heads up on that. There's also Aid, a nice spell that lasts for 4,800 turns. Level 7 gives us our Flash of Genius. When you and a creature within blank of you fails a saving throw, you can use your reaction to add a bonus to the roll, possibly turning it into a success. The bonus equals your intelligence modifier. This is really nice. Saving throws suck to fail, so being able to prevent that from happening is really good. And I looked it up on their GitHub here. It's actually supposed to be 30 feet of you fails a saving throw, so that's the distance there. I may not appear because I use meters. Level 8 gives us another feat. At this point, we could go with another intelligence increase or dexterity or health. And again, the other two that I mentioned there being the Mage Slayer and even the Warcaster feats being pretty nice. You could go with the armor proficiency as well if you wanted it, but we're going to go with it maxing out our intelligence here. It's never a bad choice for a stat spread. Now, once we get to level 9, this gives our last subclass feature, the Ingenious Moment. When you use a Flash of Genius, the target can, as part of the same reaction, teleport up to 9 meters into an unoccupied space. It's cool. Free teleport. We also get Call Lightning and Sleet Storm as we get access to level 3 spells now, with some fun options here. So we also get the Flame Arrows, which is kind of cool. Having range damage, deal additional fire damage is cool. We do have Haste, too, which is nice because Haste actually got nerfed, I should mention, in this. Normally, Haste is pretty nice, but in here, it doesn't actually give you an extra attack or an extra spell. It's an extra hasted action, like dashing and things like that. So yeah, not as strong. Glyph of Warding, though, still a great spell. It's like a mini short-range fireball. Revivify is fun to have. Ashalard and Stride can be a cool concentration, allowing you to dash around doing fire damage. And I guess you could, for the last one, take like Elemental Weapon if you wanted to and buff up our team. We kind of fit a role of support with our Fairy Fire. And yeah, the Artificer kind of one that struggles outside of like a tabletop experience. Where tabletop, you can really do a lot of other things in it here. But we'll just leave, I guess, the spells as such here. The Artificer doesn't have the offensive power that other classes have, but we now have a spell sorting item here at level 11. So you can store one first to level 3 Artificer spell into a weapon or spellcasting focus that a humanoid creature can wear. The creature holding this item can use the action to cast the stored spell. Only one such spell storing item can be held by a creature at a time. You can use this ability a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier until long rest. So pretty cool. There's a limited number of spells that you're able to select there, but it's fun because you can do some interesting things with it. And level 12, more health and final feat here. Now, this really depends what we want to do. Warcast giving advantage to hold concentration's good, and also let you get a reaction attack off. Spell Sniper is also nice because you can go ahead here and give yourself casting melee being 5 feet away from an enemy doesn't impose disadvantage on your attack rolls with spells, increased range, and also will give us an increase to one of our stats here. We could have went with the 10 or 17 intelligence and boosted it up that way. I'm going to go with an increase to our constitution score here, just to give ourselves a bit more survivability. Now, we got our replicate magic items here. We have 5 charges that we can use, and we have a few different ones. We got a magic shield, we got the mind sharpener, the magic armor, and the armor of resistance. This one gives us a physical modified suit of armor and hardening. The rare gains resistance to physical damage types. Now, this is an interesting choice because you got things like magic armor here, which we can use to boost up our armor. Now, it's tough because we don't get a lot of weapon choices. So Dolor Amaris is good for giving us extra damage on critical hits. So, I mean, it's something. We don't really have a lot of options because we don't have weapon proficiencies. So you don't want to do that. You could go with, I guess, a Defender Flail and just not attack at all with your melee weapon and just use the bonus to the armor class that it provides. But yeah, we don't have a lot of options. So even something like the Mind Sundering Dagger with the additional 1d4 of psychic damage can be nice. I'm not sure why the tooltip does not pop up very quick, but yeah, the extra psychic damage can be good on that. And even the Sucer Dagger for the silence on hit. But we're not going to be attacking often in melee. We have our shield, because we actually have shield proficiency here. And also the Hellrider Longbow for plus 12 to our initiative, because it's a d20 initiative die. We also got the Boots of Stormy Clamor, so we can apply Reverberation on Thunder, Lightning, or Radiant damage, or if we apply a condition, you can swap this out and have the gloves be something different, like late game be the Helldust gloves there, or even things like if you're using a bit of extra psychic damage, the Brain Drain gloves can be nice. And if you want to really stack up critical hits, the Crater Flesh gloves with the Dolor Amaris kind of work well. I'll be honest, there's not a lot of really great gear because the Artificers more so like they make their own gear and they're better as a utility caster type class We also have the armor agility here. We need to jack up our survive, so this gives us a pretty solid AC of 25 with a cloak protection, and the helmet of arcane acuity. You can shoot an arrow from any targets, get a +10 to your spell save, and cast whatever you want freely. Early game, the haste helmet's a nice choice as well. Don't mind that one. And late game, the helmet Baldur can be pretty solid too. I also have the helmet with greater health for the +3 to Constitution. It's changed in this mod. Crusher's Ring for extra movement speed, and Ring of Protection, I guess, just to survive a little bit longer because we don't have a lot of offensive chops. But we can go ahead with like the magical armor here, so we can go ahead. We got the replicate magic item level 6 here, which gives us a +2 to our armor class, and this lasts until long rest, which is pretty nice. But if we have a short rest, it will end early, so something to keep in mind. Now, these are until long rest, so a little bit of struggle if you use a short rest here. You also have magical shield, which you can create. This will give us a bonus enhanced shield. It grants a bonus to our armor class. We also have the magical weapons here, and there's a returning magical weapon, wraps on our power, and wand of the war mage here, which I'll show what it looks like. So we're going to cast this one in here, and this will give us the bonus to our spell save, DC, and spell attack roll. So yeah, we can go with that to give ourselves even further enhanced spell casting. There's other options here, like giving ourselves the weapon returns, so you can make sure that you don't lose your weapon. The spell sorting items you can see here, you can give your teammates like haste or protection from energy, elemental weapon, grease. So it's kind of cool. You got those. Use your spell sorting item tabs here. I also have your Flash of Genius Illuminated Cartography, which lets us cast the free Fairy Fire here. And the Plans of Mobility give us other options too. So we can use this so we don't get slowed down by difficult terrain, which is amazing. Always use that. It's basically the Ring of Free Action. Very powerful. And then there's also things like the Ring of Striding, which increase the movement speed. You can use other versions of that if you want. We have a lot of different options spells, but we're not very strong offensively. I know, again, we don't have great offensive choices just because we only have level 3 spell slots. We don't have extra attack, so we are kind of weaker in combat in a lot of ways. We don't have sneak attacks, things like that. One of the best ways we can start off is using Cliff of Warding, surprisingly enough. You can see here, we're actually able to get multiple targets hit inside of this here. So yeah, this is like one of our other, one of the options that we have for damage. We don't have a lot of crazy good stuff, but yeah, I don't think I can get this lined up properly. So I'll just blast away there with that and get counterspelled. Well, it was nice knowing you guys. I normally run haste on these because, yeah, typically showing off a single build without showing my teammates, it's tough when we're fighting this many guards. We're just straight up dead, but there are a few cheesy things we can do, like Mind Blast is still extremely strong. This is a spell that you get from the Illithid's abilities here, and it's one of the stronger damage options that we have in the game because it can also stun targets, and it also sometimes brings in more guards. That's lovely. Proc Opportunity Attack to get in range to be able to use the spray of cards here. This does force damage, and it can actually be upcast to do additional 1d10 of damage. It blinds targets, which is nice. This is a dexterity save, so a lot of these targets here have high dexterity. Not a very smart plan, but hey, we were able to take out one target at least, and that's our full action for the turn. So yeah, we got not a lot of great options, unfortunately, with how it changes to haste and everything. We do have the haste action here, which lets us do a range attack if we wanted to, so we could attack someone, or we could potentially just do a melee attack at a target, which is not a bad idea. Got a kill there. And we still have our bonus action here, so I guess we could use the repulsor here for another pushback. I have the Illithid ability, so yeah, that's all we got. And I guess what this class should be doing in combat is putting Fairy Fire on enemies, but I don't think it's wise of me to use my action when I don't use my teammates. We get our butts kicked really badly here, but early game, that's not a terrible option. Also, the thing is, Sprayer Card is not a very high damage option. Glyph of Warding, a little bit better, 5d8 of lightning damage, so typically Glyph of Warding is going to be our option for damage most times, just because it is a little bit better. And you can see there, you can kind of cast it as if it were a like fireball type attack. This target will hit me with opportunity attack if I don't stab them and apply reverberation. Wasn't enough to take him out, unfortunately, but we really got to rely on our Illithid abilities here because we don't got a whole lot of anything else. I'm just going to black hole everybody away here and call it a day there because they're all slowed. Oh, I got someone with the shield bash. Nice. That doesn't normally happen. I can't hit both targets with that. The thing is, unfortunately, since we don't have a very large reach on our other options for damage, like spray cards, typically it's best to use the the Glyph of Warding. Mind Spike is another option you can do because it does have high damage, although again, Resonant Stone is not boosted up, so that is something to keep in mind. But yeah, you can throw on Glyph of Warding. It's typically going to be your better option for damage. And again, this class is meant to be using their Fairy Fire, but that's not really that amazing in combat. You do have other buffs that you can apply on yourself, which are nice. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the Artificer part of the 2024 Player Handbook, all in one by Yoonmoonsik there. And I hope you guys all have a great day. We'll catch you in the next one.